This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Greg Morton. It is Sunday afternoon, March 5th, 2023, and this is the weekend video update for the Greenville East Side IBD Meetup Group and the Stockyard Meetup Group. And of course, this is geared toward Canslim growth stock investors. So as always, educational purposes only, not recommending any securities to buy or sell. This is purely educational, and all investing has substantial risk of big losses. So we want to learn first and only then invest. So today we're going to look at the M factor and the current market review. Welcome to the roller coaster. Some action plan thoughts currently, chart review, and Market Smith of some that are acting well and setting up, and then just touch briefly on our next big educational monthly meeting, which will be Thursday, March 16th, 2023, if you desire to attend that. Those run about 2 hours, a little bit longer, with a open mic live Q&A chart review session at the end. So the M factor. Again, we always want to diagnose, we want to interpret, we don't want to predict. And O'Neill teaches us to look at three things in this order of priority. First is the action of leaders. I'm referring to strong Canslim stocks, both fundamentally and technically. And I added a little bit in here this week. Even if you miss these stocks, you still get clues on the M from watching them. So it's important to be familiar with stocks you might not even own. Actions of stocks owned, that of course gives you a lot of clues on the M. And then the market pulse, distribution day count, price and volume on the indexes. And that's really everything I put together in the coloring book, the factors I think are important to help me in tracking the M, or market direction, currently. So bottom line, it has still been a tough market recently. The breakouts and the gap ups in Canslim stocks since the follow through day on January 6th, it really just struggled overall. I mean, I have 42 now on my list, so they're in the coloring book. You can see them each day. And the vast majority of those have stopped out or just going sideways, really struggling to get traction. There are a few exceptions. ALGM has been the star so far after the follow through day that I'm aware of. It's up 33% currently from its breakout. URI, United Rentals, is up 16%, so it's done decent. Have a couple others. Interactive Brokers is up 10% from the pivot. PCAR, which we have in the group teaching portfolios, up 7% from the pivot. And there's a couple others, but for the most part, I'm not seeing good action in those leaders since January 6th. And again, it's sort of just been a sideways chop fest. So let's hop out of here. Let's go over to Market Smith. We'll start by looking at the index charts. Oops, sorry, should have had that on the NASDAQ. So here we are on the daily. Again, it's really been tough since that Thursday when the Fed was very hawkish, but then this past Thursday, starting in the afternoon, when one of the Fed heads, who doesn't even vote, was more dovish, moved the market up, and then we had a really nice day Friday, and technically re-engaged battle at these important moving average lines and retook them. So back above the 10 and the 21, maybe the 50 can come up and cross the 200. We'll look at the coloring book in a minute. There's still a lot of red on there, but at least we did have a constructive half day Thursday and full day Friday. So it was nice to end the week on a good note. February did not end well, and so we'll watch and see. We start a new week on Monday, but that's where we are. At least we're back above the 4 moving average lines. We know Canslim works best when we're above an uptrending 21-day EMA line, so that line's not really uptrending currently, so we want to see that. Would like to see the market make progress. So S&P 500, same thing, battle back, got above the moving average lines. 10 and 21 are still upside down. Want to see the 10 get back above the 21 and have some improvement. Did come down and find support at that 200, so at least it didn't slice through that one like knife through hot butter, or hot knife through butter, sorry. The NYSE looking good. Again, retook all the moving averages, so that's constructive, at least at the end of the week. Dow, one of the worst performers of the 6 we look at lately, still mired under the 50-day. Small caps are probably the strongest. Again, looking better, came back above the moving average lines. S&P 600, very similar. So we are seeing some strength in small caps, and a lot of times small caps lead down and then small caps lead up. They just can't lead far up by themselves. We've got to get some other support among some larger medium cap stocks, I guess is the way I should say that. So that's that. The coloring book. So still, a lot of red. All the MMTS signals are still red, but they're close. If the 10-day lines can turn up and we can make progress more, then they'll turn yellow and or green. I have 11 buying days and 10 selling days. That's flipped back and forth. So we've just had this seesaw back and forth battle. We have 3 distribution days currently on the NASDAQ, 5 on the S&P 500, 4 on the Dow. So slightly elevated, nothing to be too concerned about. IBD actually flipped back to green, went back to uptrend resumed. So that means the distribution day count stays owned, but they're seeing enough improvement that's what they did. Window of opportunity is still closed. New highs exceeded new lows on Friday on the NASDAQ and the NYSE, and then we actually have a trend of new highs on the NYSE, and it was a strong accumulation day. I hadn't filled in my other data yet. Next week, as I said, you got Powell testifying 2 days. Normally the second day is very similar to the first, so whatever headline volatility we're going to get may come in Tuesday, and I think on those they release his written testimony before he testifies, but I'm not positive on that. Then I put a note on the Friday coming that the next week will be the Fed meeting. Should have options expiration that next week too, and we have the CPI number somewhere in there. So a lot of stuff still on the horizon. I don't have the list of Fed speakers for next week. They continue to move the markets both ways, as I've been discussing. So just still a lot of all that red and the window of opportunity being closed and buy sell count flipping back and forth, new highs and lows flipping back and forth. Um, just a lot of uncertainty, and the market doesn't like. Well, there's volatility showing, which is due to the uncertainty. The market does not like uncertainty, and we thought we were just going to have 2 more rate hikes, and then that's what's changed. That's what's creating the uncertainty now. So we're dealing with that. And then the group teaching portfolio. So we still have our short positions in Fryer Battery. I made a mistake last weekend. I apologize. I said on the video without looking at this because it was kind of a frustrating end of the week. I thought everything stopped out or had to be sold under my sell rules. It didn't. RSP and PCA are still in there. So everything has a gain currently. So that's good. Axon had a great earnings report, so went back in that one. NXT, his IPO that broke out that I'd been stalking and paying attention to. So went into that. Nowhere near full position. What percentage are they? I should have them on this page. So NXT, 30% of a normal position size, and then Axon, that one's actually 40. I got a typo in there. Sorry. So that's 40% total position in it. So still, that's and overall, what percent invested? Yeah, 43%. So a little bit. I was really thinking about 30, 35% was right, but then we had good days Thursday and Friday. So kind of comfortable with where that is, comfortable having cash too. Hopefully it won't be too bad a mark if things go back down and we get more sell rules triggered. So that's where we are there. Went through those. Go back to this. So we covered that. Yep, some longs waiting in. So the current market sign for me in light of all of that is a bunch of question marks. I'm just not sure. Have to be careful. Looking for stocks setting up. We're going to look at a couple in just a minute. And Market Smith. So as of Friday's close, it still seems like we're sort of running in place, or quicksand market or porcupine market or a teeter-totter seesaw market. Take your pick. None of these are good. Just struggling to get that traction, and things we get in seem to get taken out of pretty quickly. So next week's a new week. It'll need a new diagnosis, so we'll just track things Still always do your weekend routine. Got to stay in touch with the market and what's leading and what's setting up. Seems like a time for patience and discipline till we see some improvement in the M and some good setups. Still a lot of headlines, as I mentioned. Powell, yep, I had that in there. So let's go back to Market Smith real quick. We'll just look at a couple that I thought were sort of, you may want to study this weekend, that are doing pretty decent. So this is On Holdings, which is a running shoe company. You can see it set up a cup with handle. Normally you'd go, wow, it's got a lot of overhead resistance. Yes, that would be a problem. It's only because this is an IPO in the institutional due diligence phase. You got a nice prior uptrend, you got a base, got a handle. So this one's setting up, have great earnings and sales. New company. This is the one that Fidelity Contra Fund plowed into so heavy, which was kind of impressive. So just keep an eye on this one. Was written up in the New America on February 25th, so you can go read about it in the paper. Palo Alto. So this one, the traditional pivot's up here. I almost view this as a double bottom with a breakout. So it's showing some strength. High industry groups, a little bit of a red flag. Has some mutual fund ownership. RS lines new high. We like to see that. Axon, very good earnings report. The stock is at an all-time high and an all-time closing high. So it has no unhappy shareholders. Great RS line. A lot of new in the conference call. In fact, this is the first time I've seen this, they did their quarterly conference call by live stream video, which was really cool because they had 8 of the management team on there. You could see them all for the whole call, and it had 6 or 7 of the analysts where you could see them, and facial expressions and body language. It was so cool to be able to see that. So I hope we're moving towards more of that. I usually just read the transcript, but when they did a video and in a company I was interested in, that was really neat. And there's a lot of new in there. So that's you can see it on their website. That's worth going back and watching. This is the one that has the founder, the same guy's been leading this company for 30 years. So that's just rather amazing, and had the vision for Taser, and then they're in the cloud and the storage for the evidentiary body cameras. So they just have a lot of traction. They have a new Taser weapon coming out. So a lot of things to study in there. Looking good. MPWR, this one's set up 44% deep. It's a little bit of a deep base. Green line, that's its all-time high. Good earnings and sales, great return on equity, pre-tax margins, no debt. Look how many of those have no debt. That's great as interest rates go up. They are not cutting into their bottom line. NXT, this was the IPO that I mentioned to you. You have to go to a daily chart. You can see, I actually had drawn the IPO base on there, but the little green lines, it actually showed up in pattern recognition Thursday night because it was 10 days long. That's how long it has to be to show up as an IPO base. Came through the sloping trend line as well as the traditional pivot on Friday. Great volume, highest since really the first 2 days and that 4th day. So strong volume. And this one has like an up down ratio of 7.3. Really, really strong accumulation or demand showing up in that little statistic. So we'll see. May totally fall apart and stop us out. And then Dexcom, this one had that big shakeout day. And then on Thursday, the news came out. They've got FDA approval for type 2 diabetes for one of their devices. So this one's looking good. Obviously, 999% earnings growth is strong. It's actually higher than that. It's just Market Smith caps out at 3 numbers. So I have to go somewhere else to find out how much higher than that it was. Set up, nice little 18% deep consolidation, almost a flat base. Got some tight trading in there. Triple digit earnings and sales. Triple digit earnings. Sorry. Sales are only 17%. That's a little light, but it's 815 million a quarter. So this is a big company, $47 billion market cap. So those I think are some worth studying. Maybe they end up on your watch list for this week. Maybe they don't. So reminders, EPS season is still going. Viable gap up hunting season is open. That was Axon was actually a viable gap up setup. And then earnings season starts over on April 1st. So we really have 4.5 months total straight earnings season at the beginning of each calendar year. So the trader line IPO class is still going on. I put this in here. This weekend, Eve spoke. I thought she just knocked it out of the ballpark. She did really good. A lot on process, her personal screening techniques, how the ride the wave plan that Jim Ropel talks about, and of course she works for his hedge fund and runs fund money. So she talked about that and walked you through it. She has not talked about that stuff previously, so that whole thing's recorded. If you can sign up for it now, you get her slides, you get all the prior sessions. They've all been good. Eve just likes the IPO advanced phase, which is what I like. So I was interested in hearing from her. So I do recommend that to you. I think that's a great resource. I'm really enjoying it, learning a lot. Monthly online meetings. So my next meeting will be Thursday, March 16th. Register at the Stockyard Meetup site. Those are $12 a meeting. You can attend live if you want to, but everybody will get a recording, slide deck, links to webinars, any articles that I talk about. I have a new book to talk about, and a new webinar I watched to a friend recommended to talk about and give you all the links to when we have that meeting. And if you've never signed up for one of our meetings, I send you a courtesy copy of last month's meeting. So here are the type of things we cover. This was last month's agenda because I haven't finalized the March agenda yet, but we'll cover the M factor. We'll do Canslim teaching nuggets like we always do, review key principles from webinars, IBD Live, etc. Any new thing in MarketSmith I'll talk about. We'll go back and look at some other things on Friar Battery a little bit like we've been doing each month. We'll look at any gaps that have occurred, viable gap up since our last meeting and some of the principles we applied. Look at the group teaching portfolio, and IPO market is starting to come back alive. So we'll have a little bit to talk about there. So prior meetings are recorded. If you don't have a set of written cell rules, you really need them. I spent 3 months teaching that. So you can order the prior meetings. If you don't know what a weekend routine looks like, I spent 2 meetings covering that using MarketSmith and the newspaper combined in a weekend routine to develop a tiered watch list. So those can all be ordered. You can just email me. The prior meetings are $15 for the recording, slide deck, and again, any links that I sent out. So I think that's it. Interesting week ahead. Stay tuned, pay attention, do your homework, and that's it. I'm out of here.